and welcome back to another episode of the Three at the Back podcast. I'm your host, Darren, and as ever, joined by my good buddies, Scott and Paul. Boys, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you very much. Had a shocking bench boost last week, which I'm sure we can discuss and rip in a bit. But outside of FPL, everything's good.
It was so bad I didn't include it in your team graphic, mate.
Cheers. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I don't think we were the only ones suffering last week. I think there was, and we will get into it throughout this episode. A lot of the big names didn't really perform or pull up trees, particularly for myself. Captain Mateta against a pretty poor Wolves side up to this point, and ended up with 1 point, subbed off after 59 minutes. Great captain pick.
What a gutter.
He deserved it, to be fair.
He was terrible.
Deserved it for the missed opportunity. But
yeah.
Sore subject for me as well, because I also captained him. But another green arrow. That's all I'm working towards. Another green arrow.
Yeah, you know what? This is
what you got to go for, especially when the average is so low. So that would suggest a lot of people that were higher up in the rankings had a pretty tough week as well. So yeah, overall combined FPL with real life football results over the weekend, I'm chuffed to pieces.
Buzzing. So did we all get green arrows this week?
All got green arrows this week, yes.
Come
correct.
on. It's a celebratory drink. I've got a mocha.
Coffee.
We got there, Paul.
Just a normal black coffee.
Just a black coffee. What's Darren on?
Bit of the old Crew Campo. Crew Campo for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is not a sponsored video.
No, of course not. And although I would highly recommend, whilst it's not one of their beers in the glass, I would recommend a visit to the staggeringly good brewery in Portsmouth. Anyway, that side. We are going to be digging into game week 13, game week 14 stuff in this episode. Obviously, reminder that game week 14 is a midweek deadline next week. So you've got your deadline this Saturday for game week 13, and then the deadline for game week 14, I believe, is Tuesday at 6 p.m. So some two deadlines come in thick and fast as we kind of enter into this traditional Christmas period where there tends to be teams have got to play like 9 games in a week somehow.
Palace.
Every week between now and the end of the season, I think.
Let's crack on and get into it. We're going to bring up the graphics as we do, we'll have a little discussion around what we saw in game week 13. Game week 12, and how that's going to inform our decisions for game week 13 and 14 going forward. I think the top of the tree, number one topic that I think is on everybody's lips right now, Eze hat-trick in the North London derby. If you had him, you likely got a green arrow, and if you didn't, you're probably on the red side this week. Rather ironically, actually.
Fat green arrow if you had him. It's quite lowly owned, isn't he? As he really in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. How do you want to do this? You want to just discuss Eze now, or should we go through it point by point?
I don't think Paul can wait any longer, so let him roll.
Greyhound, ready to go.
Go on then, Paul. Wax lyrical. 4-1 win in the North London derby, and it never really seemed in doubt either. I think Arsenal controlled the game and were comfortably working their way towards that scoreline for early into the game. I have to admit, seeing Eze's name pop up on my score alerts did fill me with a bit of joy. And then when it happened twice and then 3 times, I was a very happy man as an Eze owner.
Yeah, it was a brilliant performance from Arsenal. Arteta got it right from team selection to formation, the whole hog. Again, watching it from a tactical perspective was fascinating for me, which I think Scott would appreciate. But the role of Marino, for example, he was drifting out to the right-hand side to create space and pull out defenders. And then Eze was running into the middle, into the gap. And then that was creating the overload for them Rice to fall into. So it was just, he was just constantly moving people around. And it was, Tottenham just didn't know what to do, didn't know how to deal with it. And I thought that was fantastic. But there's so many names to call out. But obviously Eze takes the headlines. I think he's been on the chopping block realistically for a lot of people who do have him. I know it's quite a small number of FPL players that do have him, but the ones that do, I think, were definitely contemplating probably shipping him out. And that's probably changed their minds. He's now Arsenal's joint top goal scorer for the Premier League.
He's now the top transfer in this week. The knee-jerk brigade all over him. He's had a price rise already.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Again, took his goals very well. The second one, the one where he controlled it and just tucked it onto his left and just delicately guided it into that corner. It was just beautiful. So I was chuffed. Tottenham didn't put up a fight. I think that was, I guess if I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be brutally disappointed. They obviously had a game plan to come and try and defend and nullify. And you could tell from the third minute when Rice had that chance, it wasn't gonna run that way. And I think when you set up that way, it's very hard to switch gears, especially when they don't probably have the luxury of certain personnel, like an Eze, for example. I
wonder why that is. I wonder why they don't have an Eze.
To change the game up. The fact that Vicario was coming up to the halfway line to take free kicks.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just playing for territory realistically.
They were.
And then Tottenham fans must have been tearing their hair out. And again, Trossard deserves a big shout out. I think he's again an FPL asset going under the radar. Obviously, I shared a stat with you guys that we've never lost a game that he's scored in. I think it's 32 games and counting now. So again, he's definitely a good luck charm. And that's 3 goals and 3 assists in 8 starts for him this season. So again, probably someone worth looking at if you're looking at Arsenal assets for sure, and want someone that's not too pricey. 6.9 mil, I think he is. Trouble
is that there's so many assets at Arsenal, isn't there? We had a go trying to boil it down to your top 3 a few weeks ago, and we all disagreed on that top 3 because it's really like a top 7, top 8 you could effectively have. I watched the game. I thought Arsenal, like you said, were fantastic. But from a Spurs perspective, they were woeful. You've seen the XG they created of 0.07, which is the second lowest this season, and they hold the record for the worst, 0.05. I can't remember who was that against. I can't remember. Only a few weeks ago. They pulled that stat out. Against Chelsea. So they have it in them, Spurs, to throw in an absolute stinker. Ange DNA is still running through that team. And it's clear to see when they perform like that, it's clear to see that they were sort of clueless. Had nothing to combat Arsenal at any stage of that game whatsoever. And as a double Arsenal defence owner in Timber and Calafiori, 0.07 and you concede. Have a word, Paul.
That was their first shot on goal in the game.
It was their first shot. It wasn't even a chance, was it? Zubmeni just gets caught on the ball like 35 yards out, and a great finish. Let's not take it away from Richarlison.
No, it was a wonderful finish.
But have a word. Raya off his line again. That guy's he's a clown, isn't he? He wants to come and play football with the rest of them.
I gotta say, as up until this week, not having anyone from the Arsenal defence has almost definitely positively contributed to my green arrow. Obviously, I had Eze in the midfield and pulled in a massive haul there. But I did kind of like see that Richarlison goal go in, and had a little bit of a wry smile, knowing that almost everybody in FPL has got Arsenal defenders, and that was going to always be a bit of a kick to know that you've just lost that clean sheet.
Right, do you know how bad it is that if you own a single Arsenal defender, you want them to concede, because if they keep a clean sheet, everyone else doubled up on them. You actually lose in rank on that, which is an absolutely crazy situation. But I mean, you've seen the defensive stats for this season. Arsenal are on 6.21 XGC, which is after 12 games is something that we've never seen before. Man City are second best, and theirs is 12.65.
Wow!
So double. You know, that's how good the Arsenal defense is. But he still can't keep a bloody clean sheet, which is. But those stats, those clean sheets will come. I'm not even afraid to play double Arsenal defense against Chelsea this week, because I can see them snuffing out any team on any day. And you must be proper excited, keeping your feet on the floor. But the signs are all good, aren't they? Because I wrote down here, strong, resilient, very hard to beat. You must be pretty excited for what's coming up, Paul.
Yeah, like I said, we had a tough start to the season, fixture-wise on paper. We've ridden that fairly unscathed, and we've obviously got tough fixtures ahead. But at the moment, we seem to be up for the challenge, and you could tell. Like, again, don't want to hype on too much, but even the way Eze was tracking back, I don't remember seeing that as much at Palace, but clearly he's been told he has to do it, and he was bombing back to get the ball back off.
Those goals he scored, those like where he drifts like 20 yards from goal and places it in. I mean, I've seen that for the last 4 seasons. They're the areas that he's very strong at. Anything one-on-one or anything where he has a bit of time, he's not so good. Well, he's instinctive and he moves onto the ball and just caresses it. I mean, that's his game. And at number 10, where he can make up those pockets, like you said, Marino was pulling wide and dropping deep, and Arsenal were putting runners in behind. It was fantastic. I agree with you with Trossard. I think he was excellent again. I'm not sure Martinelli, when he's fully back to fitness, comes back into that team straight away. I think the conundrum for Eze owners would be, because Odegaard must be pretty close to coming back, whether he starts taking minutes from Eze, which I assume would be natural. But who knows? And Marino himself, I mean, Gyökeres wasn't in the squad, but Marino did just as good a job as he does. So, good signs. If you've got players to come in to fill your first 11 and you play as well as that, excellent signs, I think.
Yeah, 4 open play goals as well. Just throw that in there.
That's because Gabriel wasn't there, mate.
Set piece only merchants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Look, we'll continue the conversation around the title picture and things like that. I think that it covers off points 2 and 3, maybe even a little bit of 4 as well. To be honest. So and looking at those results list there, almost every single team, like kind of in and around that top 6, top 8 kind of picture, didn't lost or dropped points. Apart from Palace, actually. Yeah. So Bournemouth drawing, United lost, City lost, Liverpool lost, Sunderland lost. Like, big week for Arsenal in the grand scheme of things to pick up 3 points at this point, with all of those different teams that are in and around that kind of top 8, top 10 picture, not picking up points, as I said, outside of Chelsea and Palace.
Well, let's talk about the game coming up then, because they'll cover off the Chelsea chat as well. I mean, big game this weekend, Paul. Away to Chelsea, who are looking the closest challengers. They're quite consistent. They're not exactly very exciting to watch, but they're dominating games and winning pretty comfortably. I mean, how do you view the game coming up?
I think we have the weapons to damage them. I'm just looking at the recent fixtures because I know it's been fairly favourable, which I think has been helped. So obviously they've had Burnley and Wolves in the last two. They're keeping clean sheets, which is positive. Again, obviously they beat Tottenham as well. So yeah, they've again won 3 in a row, kept 3 clean sheets. So yeah, all positive signs for Chelsea. I think it's going to be a tough game. I'd be intrigued how they're going to set up because I don't think they can be as as open and as expansive as they have been in the last 3 games because I think we have all the weapons to damage them. So it's going to be a real interesting tactical, battle of who can impress their game plan over each other because I think they'll try and I think they'll probably try and counter and get it to the wide men like Neto and Gittins. And I think we'll have a plan for that. I would expect because
Palmer might be back.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe not start, but impact off the bench. Good news for them, I guess. Good news for FPL because I think we need him. Fit and firing Cole Palmer's a good asset, good talking point because that price point he commands makes you decide between him and Saka or Bruno, and that. So we need him back because it gets a bit stale otherwise in that midfield area. Yeah,
I as always with Maresca, it's quite difficult to call their team. Obviously, they've rotated massively again tonight in the Champions League. I assume in prep for the weekend. I expect to see a similar team to what he put out this weekend, just gone against Burnley. I think it's going to be a really good game.
But you win that, you go 9 clear.
Yeah, I think it's obviously for us title aspirations. Winning this will put us really in the driving seat for them people to try and catch us, which I think is a positive. Arsenal haven't been in that position in the title races they have been involved in recent years. So let's fingers crossed they can.
It's always been quite tight, isn't it? It's been like 2 points either way, like 2 points, 3 points, 4 points either way. It's always been like, and then going into that, last 5 games of the season, even when the last couple of seasons where maybe Arsenal have been in a strong position or look like they could win it. Those last kind of 4 or 5 games are so high pressure that it's almost kind of been obvious that they didn't have the weapons that you have now, or they didn't have the depth, the strength in depth that you have now to be able to kind of rotate and manage the back end of the season. Whereas,
but they've almost been immaculate in seasons gone past, Arsenal, and still not got it over the line. Where this season they've been almost immaculate, and the other teams haven't been. So Arsenal have just been consistently good, very good, and Liverpool and the cities have shown signs of frailty this season, which again just plays into the fact that if Arsenal get a lead at this present moment, you can't see Liverpool or City putting a consistent run together to really overhaul a 9-point lead.
Yeah, no, totally agree. That brings us nicely onto kind of Liverpool's game against Forest. Look, I mean, we mentioned that the data and the stats there in our previous episode when we were talking about Liverpool assets to bring in, and we were talking about Virgil as a potential like solid replacement for Gabriel's injury, and I'm sure lots of people probably followed that same advice or had those same sort of ideas in their mind. You couldn't call 3-0 Forest at Anfield though, surely.
Well, the stats, it's a very stats versus eye test. So if you watch the game, you probably saw Liverpool completely dominate the first half hour. Forest hardly had a kick. If you're looking at the stats tell you that the Liverpool were completely dominant. If you didn't know the result, looking at just the stats, you'd go, well, that's probably a Liverpool comfortable win. It showed me it was very similar to Liverpool of the Klopp season, the final season, where we've seen it this season quite a few times, where they're very, very weak in the middle, dominating the ball, dominating the chances, not being able to put it in. But on the defensive, they're so vulnerable to the that counter. And Forest, as we know from last season, are probably the best team, if not one of the best teams on the counter. And Dyche has gone in there and just made them solid at the back, got them to do what they're good at, which is soak up pressure and hit on the break. And they were running through Liverpool like they were a finish line. You know, they were completely wide open. And I mean, look at the stats. Forest had 28% possession. You know, created a lower XG as well than Liverpool did. And Liverpool created 1.94 XG, which is phenomenal. On another day, it is a 3-0 win. You know, so I think if you watch the performance, Liverpool look good in parts, in patches, and really poor in other patches in the same game. It's very, very bizarre.
It's that consistency of performance that you said is that they need to be able to put those good bits together in a bigger run than just the opening half an hour. They need to be able to put it together over 60 or 70 minutes at least.
But if they score in that first half hour, it's a different game. You know, I can see them putting Forest to bed.
Yeah.
But the fact we all know that they're not scoring goals, which is strange considering they are one of the highest XG creators. All that firepower they brought in, something's not working. Something isn't clicking. Were they so heavily reliant on Salah last season? Maybe. You know, if Salah's form's dipped or his age has caught up him a little bit, you know, they were so heavily reliant. Yeah, I mean, we spoke quite a bit about Liverpool last week and couldn't really put a finger on what's going on. And this game just muddies the decision even more, doesn't it? It makes it even harder to pick an asset from Liverpool.
Paul, your thoughts on that game specifically, and actually just to get maybe a slightly different perspective on it. You know, are we, or should we now seriously be looking at Forest assets going forward?
Yeah, for sure. That's that was Forest's first clean sheet of the season, which is obviously completely different to what they were last season when they were the joint best defense for clean sheets. So again, it's been a very different season for them.
Is that Andrew's DNA still all over them as well?
He's leaving his DNA truly everywhere.
Let's not get into conversations about who's leaving DNA where, shall we?
That's a lawsuit coming.
And to be fair, he's only there 30 days. Is that enough? Is that enough time? Is it?
Well, apparently.
It seems so. Yeah, three defenders in the team of the week, and they're starting to get results. Gibbs White's in good form. He's starting to be that talisman that he was previously. And yeah, as Scott said, they're starting to look more solid. Elliot Anderson is starting to be that DEFCON monster that he was last season. So they're really starting to, I guess, become a little bit more of the Forest that we know from last season, which I guess for Forest fans and especially for us FPL guys, they then become an option, providing they can continue that form. So I guess it's definitely worth monitoring. They have, I think, a good run of fixtures. So I'm just going to find it. 2 seconds. I had it up just a minute ago.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're a solid run.
They have a decent run of fixtures. They've got Brighton 13, Wolves 14, Everton 15. Spurs at home on game week 16, Fulham at 17. So yeah, not a nice run of fixtures. So I guess it'd be worth monitoring. But yeah,
if nothing else, like just those fixtures that you've called out there, like even if it's not a runaway for Forest in any of those games, and it's just like an absolute ding dong fest across all of those 4 games, 2-alls, 3-2s, 2-1s, whatever, like that comes always back to a point that we always like to make with this, is that ultimately it's not necessarily about Forest picking up points and moving up the league. It's actually about, are there assets within the Forest team that are capable of scoring points? And as you rightly pointed out, like Morgan Gibbs-White is on really, really good form. Even if Forest go on and lose all 4 of those next games, as long as Gibbs-White is picking up the goal or picking up the assist in the 2-1s or the 3-2s, doesn't really matter. But I think it's what's not like been great to kind of see is that switch in play styles and seeing them kind of turn that corner. And we've seen it with a couple of other teams over the course of this season as well. Like Manchester United's form has been inconsistent, but it actually feels like we've seen them kind of turn that corner a little bit in terms of. Oh no, you're shaking your head, Paul. We'll get on to the Everton game in a second. But
please.
Please do.
I think we need to talk about the other half of Manchester first of all. But
go for it.
As an example, I'm just saying as an example, like it feels like we've got to that point of the season now where those that kind of started slowly or were quite poor in the beginnings, that we're starting to see corners being turned quite a bit.
Well, just on the Liverpool game, just to finish off there, Alexis McAllister finished the game as the game's highest XG, which I think tells you a lot. When your box to box guy is the guy getting on the end of things.
That was probably from the 2 shots that he had in quick
succession. But no one else come close to him on the XG front. Gakpo was next, 0.36, and Salah 0.31. All that would have come early doors, that first half-hour spell we spoke about. And Szoboszlai, again, probably their best player, most standout, created the most chances from right back. We mentioned his name last week as a replacement in that midfield and said he would probably play right back, which is a complete waste. He still created the most chances. I guess if I was a supporter of a team who's holding midfield player and right back were the most creative players, when you got all that firepower up front, I think there's a lot of things going wrong there, and Slot's got to sort it out pretty quick. Because is he under pressure? I would say he's under pressure.
Was it seven losses in the last 8 games? It's definitely sackable form, right?
It definitely is. Yeah.
He has to be. To lose 3-0 at home to a team that's was in the relegation zone at the start of the day, it's he has to be under pressure.
Yeah. And on Isak, we mentioned Isak last week and said that his form has got to turn. He's too good. I mean, his stats was nothing short of shocking.
Did he even shoot?
He had one shot. It was off target. He touched the ball 14 times in 68 minutes.
Wow.
Now, that's not all down to him, obviously, but the McAllister being the top XG guy, Szoboszlai, the top creator, shows you that Isak's getting 0 service. And I actually saw a funny meme of him sat down reading the book, and the book was titled How to Score by Darwin Nunez. And I thought it was apt because, like we said last week, that Darwin got lambasted. But he missed chance after chance after chance. At least he was getting the chance. I feel a little bit for Isak because he's getting 0 service. I think that's where the problem is for Liverpool. It's not creating.
Yeah.
No, they just seem to be getting on the edge of the box and then getting stuck. They're not quite sure how to unlock it, which again is strange. When you have that level of quality that they have in their attacking assets.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we need to talk about the other title rivals. Or certainly the one, the title rival that was that was almost definitely highlighted at the beginning of the season, Manchester City. Also very indifferent in terms of form, very patchy. Like they go 1 minute, they look like unbeatable, and Haaland is scoring braces and whatnot every week, and then they seem to go on these little runs of like 2 or 3 games where they look completely kind of like devoid of ideas, and I think that really came to the fore a little bit in the game against Newcastle. Haaland blanking again. I think that's the 3rd time in 5 game weeks, in the last 5 game weeks.
He's blanked 3 times all season.
Right. Okay.
It's
3 and 12.
Yeah.
It's 2 in the last 4.
2 in the last 4. Okay.
And ironically, the 2 that he blanked in, they lost.
Yeah.
So again, that's not a coincidence.
Well, it just shows how reliant City are on Haaland. We've spoken about this before. Like the goals aren't coming from anywhere else. If Haaland doesn't score, then obviously.
Well,
City are losing.
He amassed another huge XG of 1.54. which is enormous, which is more than Forest amassed as a team against Liverpool in a 3-0 win. So if he's slightly off colour, and doesn't put the ball in for whatever reason, then City do struggle because their whole game is channeled to creating chances for him because he is one of the deadliest finishers in world football. I mean, if you've got a player like that, we come back to the Isak conversation. Liverpool maybe should be using him in a similar way and finding a way to exploit his skills and instead of bypassing him and what have you. But this game was great. It was end to end, both sides over 2 XG. It was a ding dong battle. Newcastle very strong at home. I mean, Newcastle were the definition of inconsistent, aren't they? Out of all the teams in the league that you could label them, I think Newcastle were the top of the tree for that. Terrible away from home, almost unbeatable at home. They're very solid. And a midfielder that Darren hasn't had in his FPL team this season comes up with the goods. How'd you miss this one, Darren?
I'm certain I probably had Barnes in earlier on in the season, but obviously found himself on the treatment table for a period of time. So yeah, I think if I were to go through it and tick off the Newcastle midfielders that I haven't had, it would be a shorter list, to be honest.
So I mean, he's an enigma in himself, Barnes, isn't he? I think he really sums up Newcastle. He's when he plays, he's fantastic, but can't for some reason hold down a regular spot, which is odd because he'd get into a lot of sides in the Premier League because he is class. Your man Bruno G comes up again with the goods, a double-digit haul again for him. Only a fool would have him in their team, but bench them. We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
But I think on the balance, though, Newcastle probably edged it and deserved the win. What do you reckon, Paul?
Again, I think City missed a lot of chances. Foden had a couple. I think that 1.5 probably was from one chance from Haaland. I think it was unlike him not to put that in the back of the net. The Diaz goal was really scrappy. The one they did score,
it was awful. Yeah.
But yeah, Barnes could have had could have had more, if any. The goal, the first one that he buried, he had a couple of chances that were way easier to put in before that.
Scored the hardest chance. Yeah,
he scored the hardest one, which was a cracking finish.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do. I think they fully deserved it, especially obviously going 1-1. They could have collapsed and again to react to go again and get the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. Fully deserved, and shows that they need Haaland to keep them ticking over because others aren't taking that responsibility on.
Well, just to give you a bit of context, that Foden finished XG with 0.54 as a second City. Who do you think was third, and what XG do you think they amassed in that game?
I'm going to go a bit outlandish. I'm going to say Ruben Diaz was third because he scored.
Not quite.
Okay.
It was Doku.
I was going to say, yeah.
And he amassed an XG. Diaz's goal, by the way, carried an XG of 0.03 because he took about 45 deflections. Yeah. Doku had created 4 chances, but amassed an XG of 0.04 as the third, and he's finished the game as the third highest Man City goal scorer, and that just highlights you there. City's, I mean, it's a plan. It's not their problem. It's a plan, isn't it? It's get the ball to Haaland and he will score more times than not. It's just whether they can keep solid and that at the back, which seems to be their issue.
Yeah.
I mean, Voltemada should have scored. He finished the game with 0.61, which suggests he should have scored. And I mean, when you watch it, he should have scored. And Bruno G, his XG miss for what the assist that he claimed was 0.43. He's virtually on the goal line. He hits the bar. Yeah. So I mean, good game to watch from a neutral. City still show signs of vulnerability like they have done for a season and a half now, and Newcastle remain a team you can't really invest in because you can't, a bit like Liverpool, you can't really pin that one player that you can rely on.
all the
Maybe
all
apart
the,
from
all the
Bruno.
performance.
Yeah.
That was the first time Eddie Howe was beaten Pep in the Premier League out of 18
attempts. Wow. So that covers his time at Bournemouth and Newcastle collectively. Yeah. Wow. Fourth loss this season for City as well. It's got to be getting close to the most games they've lost in a season under Pep as well.
Yeah, you can't lose many more. If they're going to, like we said about them throwing down a challenge, they're going to be pretty much immaculate from now until the end.
Yeah, agreed. Likewise I imagine for Liverpool and I mean even Chelsea have lost 3 this season.
I'm going to go on record and say Liverpool are out of it.
Interesting. Okay. Bold.
Well, I listened to Danny Murphy. He said the same thing, so I'm only copying what he says.
Oh, in that case, then Liverpool are going to win the title, and they're going to be immaculate. They're going to be invincible for the rest of the season.
I see too many bad things in that Liverpool team that they can't string a concession games together. They got to win virtually every game now, even this early stage. I think they're out of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it brings us nicely onto our last point for game week 12 about fixture swings. Obviously, we spoke about the Liverpool fixture swing for majority of the last episode, and whilst we couldn't conclusively come up with a Liverpool asset to really kind of like bank your house on, as you know, being able to kind of pull you through that swing, it gets us questioning whether or not, you know, the fixture difficulty ticker, the green boxes and the red boxes, like, do they actually mean anything if it's you know, form and whatever else can be kind of just ripped up in an instant? I think you would have looked at the fixture ticker last week and seen that Forest versus Liverpool, it would have been a red fixture for Forest all day long, but they've certainly proven otherwise. And going into the West Ham and Sunderland double header now for 13 and 14. Again, both of them are green fixtures for Liverpool, and whether or not, you know, is that a true reflection of what we can probably expect over the next 7 days?
Well, what I'll say to that is that that if you're a quality outfit like Liverpool, we've sort of been a bit not harsh on Liverpool. We spoke what we see as being truthful and their shortcomings and what have you. If there's one thing that's going to improve them, it's a list of fixtures that they have in front of them. So I'm a believer that if you got the quality and you got the slightly easier fixtures, then form will breed form. They are out of form at the moment, absolutely. I think Paul is right to highlight that as a thing, because form's a very sort of subjective term. You know, like people talk about players that blank for a couple of weeks. Are they out of form, or have just had hard fixtures, or not had the chances to put it in? It's like, where does the form start and end? You know, I think you give yourself the best chance by targeting the fixtures. And if after a run of 6 or 7 games that hasn't happened, then so be it. You followed what you thought was the best process, because that's what the fixtures tell you. I can't see for life of me Liverpool don't come away with 4 wins from the next 6. 3 clean sheets. I mean, I'll be staggered if they don't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight it because obviously we play FPL and plan our teams a lot of the time around these fixture swings. But the Premier League so far this season, obviously we've had lots of discussions about styles of play and is the Premier League a worse product and all that type of stuff. And I think the Premier League so far has shown that there are no easy games in the league. Realistically, unless you're playing Wolves at the moment, there doesn't seem to be an easy game. I just thought, looking at those Liverpool things, like we struggled to pick assets because we're struggling to think of who's has any form to even base our decision off. They don't, and I think I was just thinking about it. Same with Man United; they're so inconsistent, but yet all their fixtures will be green for the next 3. And yet they go from being being a wonderful pick to them blanking and they look awful. Then you go, you second guess the fixture swings and the players you've picked in it. I just think I think the way the Premier League's panned out so far, I just think it adds that extra dimension to, I guess, purely just following the fixture swing like we would have done in FPL seasons past.
Well, I saw a table, actually, a form table that just reminded me that after the last 7 games, it's only Wolves that are worse than Liverpool in that table.
Yeah, Wolves obviously they haven't won yet.
Yeah.
So far this season. That's the first time since 1983, 1984 season that's happened. So they are, I guess, the one team that seems to be the real one to back against, I guess, at this moment in time. But other than that, Sunderland as a surprise, Burnley on their day looked to be harder than what they probably looked on paper. Fulham, their form has been very inconsistent. They're right down there, but again, on their day, they give anyone a good game. So I think it's just and the Forest result, for example, who would have called that?
Yeah,
I think it's just throwing up all these different questions, and I guess it's making our way of picking our teams, I guess, a lot harder. Which again is a good challenge.
it's great. I mean, that's why the Premier League is the best league in world football, isn't it? Because the competition is so deep. And it's sad, I guess, to see a team like Wolves, when any team down the bottom there struggling, become the whipping boys, which they have been for the first 12 weeks. No one wants to see it, really. Everyone wants to see a highly competitive league all the way from top to bottom. Arsenal making a bit of a mockery at the top, looking almost unbeatable, and Wolves looking like they couldn't win if they played themselves. But you mentioned the United there. I mean, very quickly. I mean, we got to talk about what happened last night in that game.
Well, I guess it leads into your team, Scott. You can talk us through that game and obviously how it affected your team.
Well, so I go into the last game. I mean, I don't know if you consciously pick players. I look at the fixtures and the running order, and I like to have players in that last game because you might be level points with everyone else, and everyone else is blown. Maxed out, and you've got players in that final game, and I like it. I've sat down, and last night I've got in Berman, I've got in Jai, thinking this is going to be a great game. I stand to get some good points here.
Got to get something.
Go get something, yeah. And the red card. I mean, did you see it, Darren? The red card incident.
I have to be honest. I didn't catch anything from last night's game, unfortunately, apart from that Cunha cried off with a headache.
Well, Cunha. So that was the first thing. So rumours that I read on socials was that he suffered concussion right at the end of training on Friday, and he was supposed to turn the Christmas lights on in Altrincham Town Centre on Saturday, and couldn't go. Was actually signed off medically, and then also concussion protocols are taken very seriously these days, which means he misses 10 days training, which means he can't play. But the red card, I've never seen anything like it, Paul. I know we've seen instances of teammates actually fighting. Remember that the Lee Bowyer, Kieran Dyer incident?
Bowyer Dyer, yeah.
They were scrapping. Last night's one was nothing of the sort. And I don't know what you think, but I thought it was a shambolic decision to send him off. When all we could have taken was a yellow card, pulled to one side, and within 10 seconds he had to calm down, got his head, and you crack on. It ruined the game for me. Despite the 10 men completely dominating and winning it. I mean, United were terrible. That's not a different story. I just thought the red card was shambolic. I mean, I don't know what your take on it was.
Yeah, I thought it was soft. It was too passionate. Players throwing a bit of handbags. Obviously, Idrissa Gueye was trying to be a bit too clever, I think, by trying to kind of flick it back to Keane. He didn't read it, and then it got him into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously then, they got bailed out because Man United were poor. And
they were
obviously swapped verbals. And Keane obviously pushed Gueye, and then Gueye's reacted by swiping his face, like kind of slapping his face.
Yeah.
No real force, but obviously the rule is if you raise your hands to an opponent or your own teammate, it's a red card.
Well, the wording says player, doesn't it? It doesn't say opponent or just says player,
Yeah.
which includes your teammates. Yeah.
I can't remember the exact wording, but it was to do with, I guess, like kind of like malicious intent. And I think for me, that's what it wasn't. And I think that's why it could have been perceived as you could have just booked them both and said, "Oh, pack it in."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He could have. I think, because I think it's down to, I guess, you trying to cause harm to your opponent. That's what it's obviously to try and avoid.
Well, Michael Keane doesn't hit the deck, does he?
In theory.
I mean, I guess if that had been a United player that's done that to Keane, he probably hits
if
the
it
deck.
was opposition, you would want him sent off. So I guess that's the problem. If you want him sent off, if it was you know Gay on Mbeumo, you'd want him. Man United fans would have wanted him sent off.
Sure. I just thought the referee could have shown a bit of common sense and just calmed it down by booking.
I think he could have, the fact that it was two teammates, I think in that instance he could have taken a bit of common sense and just booked them both.
But the only thing worse than that decision was Man United's performance, which was absolutely shambolic. Against 10 men for 77 minutes, and they were clueless. Pickford makes one good save towards the end, but apart from that, Everton, in the first half, Everton could have extended their lead. They lost the game.
I think I guess again, sorry to bore you guys, but from a tactical sense, again watching it, he changed the formation that had been successful and playing Ahmad on the right with Mbeumo.
Yep.
And he decided to put Ahmad in the 10.
Yep.
And I think the personnel that he switched around completely imbalanced how they were playing. And they just didn't create anything, did they? They kept whipping in crosses for some reason to Xerxes, who's, I guess, renowned for being a top guy in the air.
Well, they played slow. Their play was lethargic. He didn't change the formation. They were still playing 5 at the back. I mean, I lost count amount of times that the camera panned out and showed when Pickford was about to take a free or a goal kick or free kick, and there was 5 defenders marking Barry. And not another Everton player in sight. It was crazy. And I think didn't Barry get a record last night for most aerial duels won in the game in a Premier League?
Yeah. Everton won more duels in the game than Man United did.
Yeah,
and they were down
with
to 10 men.
Yeah.
Another stat for you. Opta confirmed. It's the first time Manchester United have lost a Premier League game against a side with 10 men.
Wow.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So 46 times they've played a team where the opposition has had a players sent off. They've won 36 and drawn 10. It's the first time they've lost.
It just seems strange for me that Amorim decided to completely mix up the personnel when they were 5 games unbeaten.
Is that because Cunha was missing and Sesko's missing, that they're a bit short on firepower?
Possibly, but that only really explains Xerxes' role in the team. He still could have played Ahmad right wing back, which was successful in the previous games that they'd been winning.
And played Bruno in the 10, you reckon?
Possibly,
It's never gonna happen, is it?
It's a natural number 10, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems strange to me, and it just looked imbalanced. And again, like you say, Pickford had 1 save to make. Again, playing, what was it, 75 minutes with 10 men.
Mm-hmm. I mean, United have made probably one step forward and maybe half a step back from that performance. I mean, they have improved. To give them a bit of credit, but that performance last night was one of the worst I think I've seen this season. It meant any team.
Now means that the United Strand won't be getting his haircut before Christmas. So
that guy's never getting a haircut. Anyway, back to my team. I was sitting there thinking I'm going to get an absolute bundle load of points. Yeah, it amassed to 4 points. Enjoy picked up his customary 2 plus the clean sheet, and then Burma got booked for a silly pullback. So I amassed 4 points from the pair of them, which was fantastic.
Well, it could be a lot worse. You could have 10 points sitting on your bench and have a player that conceded 4 come in for an injured Cunha.
Well, like Paul kindly did, I did actually bench boost, and what he's cut off there is my Semenyo 0 point sat there. I've mentioned many times my love-hate relationship with that guy. I've called off the engagement.
Hey.
I've kicked him out of the house. It's off. It's over. He's out.
So was the injury definitely an injury, and
No.
he just so happened to be out with his missus?
No. So the rumours, obviously, he left the Ghana camp with the injury. He then leaves the camp for personal reasons, and then he's pictured proposing to his fiancée. And then Riola, after the game, says he actually went down with fever, so they couldn't actually properly assess the injury because he hasn't been there.
Oh wow!
So I'm run out of excuses for the guy, so I had to cut him free. He's somebody else's problem now.
Is it fever sans hangover?
I reckon he's just worn out.
Worn out from celebrating.
Well, I mean, it's not every day you get engaged. Give the guy the week off.
Fair enough. So our game week 12 teams and points are up on the screen. I think we all concluded we all ended up with green arrows this week. Scott, the lowest score of us three, and I think actually this is the second time this season I've outscored both of you. With 10 points, on my bench. Did I mention that Bruno G got 10 points and he sat on my bench?
You may have mentioned it a few times on the group chat as well.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I think the ranks between all three of us though is where it actually matters, and I won't be shouting about my 4.8 million. You guys obviously carrying the 3 at the back torch much higher up the league.
What was your rank rise? Because 63 points, you took a points hit. Is that right? You took a -8 as well.
Took -8 to make some switches, but I jumped a million places.
So if you do it every week between now and end of December, you'll be getting a nosebleed. You'll be in that top million.
I'll be in the top 800,000. I'll be in the 6 figures that I've been aiming for this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was a million places jumped. Interestingly, my game week 1 rank was also 4.8 million. So in 12 weeks, I haven't moved anywhere.
Well done. What a waste of 12 weeks.
Paulie, 51 points for yourself, 1.5 million. Getting into those, you're creeping ever closer to those 6 figures after a bit of a slower start at the beginning of the season. And then Scott, likewise 303. As I say, like always carrying the 3 at the back banner at the top ends of the.
But Paul does it every season. Paul does this. He starts slow. He sort of absorbs all the data and all the analysis, and then he goes. When my team always starts strong and starts to stall around this time of the season, Paul starts catching up, and I start to wet myself and sweat a wee bit. And he's doing the same thing.
Making
catching me week on week. Yeah, his team looks stronger.
4 AM transfers in game week 36.
The Palace boys outside of Munoz, the 2 Palace attackers who I was so hyped about since I brought them in have really let me down. Sar consistently keeps blanking. He's giving me proper headaches.
He's the biggest points dodger in the game at the moment.
And then Mateta, again, just big chance after big chance after big chance. Just put one of them in. Just one. All I want is one.
Yeah.
Just one, I would have been happy. If you'd have put that one away there, I'd have been ecstatic, and that would have all that mattered.
You captained them both as well. I mean, I was never tempted because I watch Mateta week in, week out, and I know that he's so important to the team, but he's not a clinical finisher by any stretch. And he does miss those one-on-ones He didn't sort his feet out. I mean, Pino put him through a lovely little slide rule pass, and he basically didn't sort his feet out, did he? He didn't know which foot he was going to go with. He slowed the ball right down and then screwed it wide. I mean, that's typical of his finishing, to be honest.
And then, yeah, obviously we had the Thiago penalty miss late on to kind of compound the strikers for us.
Yeah. Second and third. Oh, actually, no. I think the third player to miss a penalty in your squad in as many
2
weeks. Yeah. Semenyo,
Yeah.
Haaland, and now Thiago.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
People
Mate, look, you're on 303. You're all good. Like,
yeah, but people hype the penalty takers as like that's an additional route to point, which of course it is. But people do forget you do have to score these penalties.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you miss them, it's a route to minus points.
Yeah. Well, we discussed when we watched the City Liverpool game. Like, it's not just a case of missing a penalty as -2. It's effectively a 6-point swing because you don't get the 4 points for the goal, and also massively affects their opportunities at bonus points as well.
Yeah, you beat BPS bums out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Totally kills it.
Right. A little bit of a discussion on fixture difficulty and DEFCON stats for game week 13 and 14. Conscious of the time as well, so we want to get into our team previews for game week 13 as well. We had a little bit of a discussion about fixture swings and difficulties and what the green boxes and red boxes mean, and whether or not actually it's worth looking at this with any kind of real seriousness. I think we're at that point of the season now where we kind of understand the form, the stats, the data that's going to go into this. Like, for example, at the beginning of the season, yes, you would have said Liverpool versus Sunderland is a green box game, is a green tick game, but what we know now about Sunderland going into that game, it's probably not as surefire win for Liverpool as maybe what it might have been considered at the beginning of the season. So you've got to look at this now with a little bit of not skepticism, not full skepticism as such, but just like take a little bit of like what those teams have done up to this point and
you got to add context to it. You can't just look at that and go, "Oh, that's a green, that's a green." You got to add your own context to what that means.
Yeah, agreed. So looking at that, like, I know that game week 13 has been highlighted as a potentially kind of like a big like free hit week as well. People looking to avoid. They're looking to avoid Arsenal, Chelsea. They're looking to avoid Man United, Palace, because there's a lot of like 50-50 games. I'd probably throw Forest, Brighton in there as well as a bit of a 50-50. And I know that a lot of people have Forest and Brighton assets as well. So maybe looking to kind of balance the books a little bit there.
And on the flip side, because you've got those fixtures, you've got other fixtures that are quite sweet from teams that you might not have assets in, like Brentford.
Yeah.
If you haven't got a Thiago, there's an opportunity to triple up, maybe get in a Schade or Vandenberg against Burnley. Villa playing Wolves.
Villa versus Wolves. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a good week. It's a good week to free hit.
I don't think there's probably many people out there that have Villa attacking assets right now because the whole, went off of like Watkins. They got burnt at the beginning of the season. Yeah. Although Rodgers has turned it around, I will say, in the last couple of weeks, he's been putting up some numbers.
Well, if we're showing our teams for game week 13, there might be a little Aston Villa sniff in my team.
Fair enough. We'll get onto that in just 1 second. We just want to cover off, as we always do, the DEFCON stats and a little update as it currently is. Senesi and Tarkowski still very much top of the DEFCON achievers for the defenders side of things. Anderson and Xhaka for the midfield side of things. So not too much of a massive change there. Palhinha coming into the top 5 though for Spurs has again consistently been putting up DEFCON over the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, and has seen him with 6 returns.
He was Spurs' only player that stood out for me in that game of the weekend. Palhinha, he put himself about. He didn't put a foot wrong really. Let down by the other 10 Spurs players he was playing with. And I set you chaps a little thing to talk about, because game weeks 13 and 14 are back to back. Very hard to fit in an episode next week because will be into the game week already. So I set you a challenge of picking one player from each position, minus the goalkeepers, just as a 2 week. If you make it a 2 week punt for those 2 game weeks, the 13 and 14. So I'll come with you to Paul for your defender pick.
Yep. I've gone for O'Reilly. Leeds at home, and then Fulham away. Fulham are pretty goal shy, and City are fairly strong at home. He looks like he's got that nailed down, and I like the fact that he is quite attacking. So there is a possibility of attacking output, even if the clean sheet is lost.
I don't know. We're doing this on the Tuesday night. City are playing tonight in the Champions League, and 8 Nuri is starting at left back. Pep's made a whole host of changes today, including not playing Haaland, Foden, and O'Reilly's on the bench, which is a good nod to the weekend, I would say.
Yeah, they lost 2-0, and O'Reilly, Foden came on at half-time with Doku, and Erling Haaland came on in the 65th minute. So didn't quite go to plan with the old rotation, but it would suggest that O'Reilly is seen as the first choice left back.
Absolutely.
Currently.
Yep.
Who's your defender of choice, Darren, for these 2 game weeks?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it in last week's episode when we were talking about Gabriel replacements. I've gone Saliba. I think as an Arsenal defensive asset, it feels like he's a like-for-like swap for Gabriel. And albeit that Arsenal scored 4 open play goals this weekend, I suspect that he will play the Gabriel role when it does come to those corners, and he will be the goal threat that those in-swingers are going to be aiming for.
Well, I own Timber and Calafiori in my team, so I hope not. I hope they're aimed at them.
Fixtures are quite nice as well over the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks. Looking at that period that Gabriel is likely going to be out for, obviously Chelsea aside, you've got Brentford, Villa, and Wolves as well. So it had to be an Arsenal defensive asset for me because I didn't have any.
He's a good long-term pick. I just think he has 0 goal threat, even probably with Gabriel not being around.
Don't think he's gonna play that Gabriel role like he did last season when Gabriel was injured and Saliba picked up those 2 goals.
Oh, possibly. If I remember one of his goals, it sort of fell to him, and he sort of tapped it in from about 6 inches. But I guess you got to be there, haven't you? You know, if you're
that's all of Timber's goals this season as well. It's off of Gabriel's head, and he's bundling it in.
Well, I'll settle for anything. I mean, I thought Timber was fantastic actually at the weekend. Was a bit unlucky not to get more attacking returns. He's fantastic, isn't he? My defensive choice harks back to our chat on the Liverpool Forest, and Sean Dyche getting into that Forest squad and looking like they've settled them into more of a Forest that we understand, solid at the back, and it's Murillo. Bit of a knee jerk, I guess, of sorts because he scored, but he amassed a huge DEFCON total as well, which is what he's about. Last season he was right up there. He's an attractive 5.3 mil. He's only 2% owned. He's averaging just under 10 DEFCONs per match this season, 9.63. So Brighton and Wolves are the next 2 games. So if I was taking a defensive punt, he would definitely be the man for me.
Nice. Midfield, Paolo?
Midfield, I've gone also with a Forest asset in Gibbs White. So again, playing Brighton, that's going to be a fairly ding-dong affair, I would suggest. And then again, sorry to Wolves fans, but targeting that Wolves fixture in 14, he's got 3 and 3, so he's in good form. Obviously, Forest are unbeaten in 3, so they're starting to turn a corner. So yeah, I think they'll give Brighton a good game, and then obviously again playing the team that's really struggling in Wolves. So I think he is a good differential option.
In form as well, Gibbs White. Good, in a lot of form. Has he scored back-to-back games?
He scored in the last 3.
Last 3. I mean, that's phenomenal form, isn't it? Really, for a team that's been struggling.
Yeah, for sure. Scotty, your midfield.
So I've already sort of hinted that It's a Villa midfielder. It's obviously Rodgers. Kicking myself a wee bit because I had him as my first choice replacement last week for Semenyo, and I completely bottled it. Not bottled it, but I forgot. I wrote it down at the very start of the week, and I forgot he was my first choice, and I sort of thought of other options, and the Gabriel injury sort of threw my plans. So I ignored making that change, and obviously goes and scores twice, and kicks you. But he's a player. He's a 90-minute man. He plays every single game. He's tough as nails. Villa vastly improved from their start of the season. He is their main man. Makes them tick. Everything goes through him through the middle. And if he's playing that 10 role, I love him. I think he's probably got that England 10 under his control at the moment. I think Tuchel really rates him, which tells you a lot about him as a player. And they got Wolves again, targeting Wolves. It's actually reverse of Forest. They got Wolves, then Brighton. Same fixtures, just reversed. I fancy Rodgers to return in both of them.
Nice. My selection won't be any surprise to regular listeners or to either of you two.
Newcastle.
It's Bruno Guimaraes. I've been banging this drum for a number of weeks now. It's on the eye test. The stats and the data is there to back it up as well. 3 double-figure hauls in the last 5 game weeks. So if you did get on him in game week 6 or 7 when I was talking about him, then you'd be quids in right now. And again, just looking at those fixtures, the Everton fixture I think is very winnable for Newcastle. Forest as well, Burnley it going into 15, and then of course the Northeast Derby against Sunderland in 16, and I can see Bruno G being in the mixer for anything positive for Newcastle. It's going to come out of those next 3 or 4 fixtures.
Well, as I knew you were going to pick him, I pre-planned some stats.
Go on.
Not to counteract it, but just to put his performances into some sort of perspective, because he is massively overperforming on his numbers. So if you're a data-driven manager, or you want to get more invested in the data side of the game, and not just knee-jerk players in and out, then here's the stats for Bruno. He has scored 3, 2 assists, which is 60 points, which makes him the 9th overall midfielder, which is great value, because he comes in at 6.6 million. So points returns, fantastic. He's only 4% owned, which is obviously in his favour as well. And fixtures, as you pointed, Everton, Tottenham, Burnley, next 3, and Sunderland. So next 4 are good.
Forest, Everton, Forest, Burnley.
So I can't read my own writing. The negatives, he's only had 15 shots for those returns, which is a 0.73 per game, which is a really low XGI of 3.04, which actually ranks him 33rd out of all midfielders. So on points scored, he's 9th. On expected points, he's 33rd. So he's massively overperforming that data. So it's either when I watch Newcastle, he doesn't get involved far up very often. When he does, he's very impactful. And I think that's where that data skew comes from. So when he chooses to go forward, he influences the game. He just doesn't do it all that often.
Yeah, I feel like he's also been the pass before the assist quite a bit as well, which will reflect in his FPL like pointage, and also in those the stats and data that you've highlighted there. I mean, I've watched Newcastle probably 3 times this season, and you're absolutely right. He is like the late runner into the box. He's very late to get into that final third, and that header that he missed this weekend very much came from the fact that ball swung in over onto the back post, and he's like the late man arriving in and hits the bar, and obviously Barnes tucks in the rebound. But I think that passage of play was very indicative of what Bruno is doing at Newcastle right now. I think they like previously you might have coined it as like the Frank Lampard kind of role of like kind of sits deep, and then when that ball goes into the final third, that's his trigger, and he's bombing in. He's making those really late runs. I just like him. I like him as a player. I think what Voltemada coming in has done is almost giving him that opportunity to make those late runs as well, because the attraction for the defenders is Voltemada. Like, he's being doubled up on, and it's creating those spaces for the likes of Barnes as well. Actually, Barnes is getting those spaces now that Voltemada's getting kind of almost marked out the game.
Well done, because now we come on to our forward picks. Mine's Voltemada.
Did you up?
That's all I've got to say.
Yep, fair enough. Paolo, who you gone for?
I've gone for Mateta.
After slagging him off.
Well, I'm slagging him off because he needs to start burying the big chances.
You're telling me?
If anything, I'm singing his praises too much. If anything, again, he's got to start putting them away. The Man United game, I think, is a nice fixture for Palace. Realistically, stylistically, I think you seem to have that over them in recent times. And again, Burnley away. But like, come on, if there's not a Mateta goal or two in those coming games,
the only thing I'll say about it is we
gone,
play Thursday.
He's gone. That Man City game, get out.
We play Thursday night away in Strasbourg.
Rest him.
Can't
Eddie, get in.
It's a winnable game. We got to win that. I think the problem with Mateta is that he's such a big lad. I don't think he takes the minutes too well. The back-to-back games. I think that his 59th minute substitution was due to him being absolutely dead on his feet. He played for France as well just before that. Scored. He found a net for them. I don't think he just doesn't take the minutes very well. So his minutes will be managed with all the games we got coming up. That's my only negativity really over him.
Can we just say as well, like, can we like try and form some kind of like FPL players unions and petition managers not to make subs before the 60th minute?
Yeah,
but there's a podcast, isn't there? Have you seen it? It's Mark McGettigan's podcast called The 59th Minute. It's all based around players going off on the 59th minute, and he sort of has like a Hall of Fame.
Brilliant.
Of them, and he never picks them. Once they're on it, they're out of his team for good.
Amazing. My forward pick for 13-14 specifically, but looking more long term as well. Igor Jesus for Forest. I think actually we've all got Forest assets in one form or another: defense, midfield, and now up front. Again, I think just going back to highlighting the way that they play and how they've kind of started to turn that corner form wise. I think Igor Jesus he's got to be in and amongst the goals at some point.
Has he been starting? I've not really been sure who started up front for Forest the other day, Paul.
It is Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah,
he had a goal striked off as well for offside, so he was quite unfortunate not to bag in game week 12.
I think it flipped off his hand.
Again, was it? Yeah. Okay. So he's bound to be in and amongst the goals at some point. And again, just referring back to those Forest fixtures: Brighton, Wolves, Everton in the next three. I think Igor Jesus is probably the one.
I guess the only negative for him is he doesn't look to be a 90-minute guy currently.
No.
Last week was he was subbed in the 85th minute, so obviously most of the game. But yeah, previous weeks he's been shorter of minutes. So again,
he'll get the job done before then. That's all that matters.
No, it just be my one caveat with him.
Yeah. So just to recap then, because if you are thinking about free hitting in game week 13, maybe there's a collection of 9 assets there that you can kind of build a team around. So looking at who we've picked, there is consistent themes. We've all got Forest assets. I think we've all got a Newcastle asset in there somewhere. No, Paul, you didn't have a Newcastle asset, did you?
No, it's their away form that puts me off. They've lost their last 3 away games. I don't tend to read too much into it, but it's something to consider. I think when
there's definitely value in looking at home and away form. I think we mentioned in a couple of episodes previous how like Burnley were like almost unbeatable at home, but when they went away on the roads, they were shocking. So
it's definitely a thing, isn't it? I mean, Spurs hadn't lost away from home until they visited the best team in the league and got destroyed. It's definitely a thing. The home and away. I mean, we touched on the fixture swing myth. It's a similar thing, the home and away form. I mean, but it's a natural thing for some teams. They just can't perform at home or away from home consistently.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Cool. Let's get into game week 13 teams. It might be kind of fairly safe to assume that the differences between our 13 and our game week 14 teams won't be that different as well. So kind of take this maybe for the next 2 game weeks, albeit, we do get one free transfer in between. So I can't imagine that the switches will be that drastic. Scott Petrovic, Munoz, Timber, Virgil in your defense, Sarr, Rogers, Embuemo, Njai, Haaland, Mateta, and Thiago. And your bench is Dubravka, Calafiori, Xhaka, and Senesi. I've just realised, Paul, that's a very odd-looking Morgan Rogers.
Look at him.
My bad.
I read the name and I was like, that's not Morgan Rogers. What's going on there?
I forgot to update the picture clearly when I was doing it last time.
Well, that's for everyone watching. That's Morgan Rogers.
Yeah,
definitely. Unless I made a massive mistake.
Yeah. So Morgan Rogers, definitely not 2 Granit Xhakas.
No.
You don't need 2 Granit Xhakas in one team, no, that's for sure. Yeah, I had 2 free transfers. Rogers, probably to make amends for my error for not getting him in last week, and I'm strongly thinking of bringing in Foden as well for Njai. The budget doesn't quite work with future because I want to get Bruno Fernandes in 14. I want Mbeumo and him against West Ham before Mbeumo goes to AFCON. If I get in Foden, I can't quite do it, so I'm in 2 minds. But I think for a 1 week punt, Foden and Haaland up against Leeds is a good aggressive move.
Nice. I like it. And this kind of slow progression of removing AFCON players in the lead up to game week 16 as well is with the idea that you want to take the most advantage of the 5 free transfers that you get.
Yeah, I don't want to use those 5 free transfers to remove the African players effectively. I want 5 transfers to roll and to be able to be flexible with what comes your way during AFCON. There's some great fixture swings. I think it's great. Game weeks 15 and 19 mirror each other.
Nice.
And there's some great matchups. I think Liverpool might play Leeds in that back-to-back. We spoke loads about Liverpool, but if they're hitting any kind of form, you want to be able to roll with those sort of fixture swings. You need fixtures and transfers to do it. So, I want to remove them and be as flexible as I possibly can with those 5 rolling.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good top tip there from someone. As you can clearly see, their rank is well up there in regards to the global picture. Start making efforts to remove AFCON players now to take advantage of those 5 free transfers, rather than waiting all the way until game week 16 and then having to use those 5 free transfers specifically to remove AFCON players, because effectively you can use those 5 free transfers as almost like a mini wild card, and you can fix other problems in your squad that you may be experiencing.
The power of it is to keep rolling those 5 and have them up your sleeve. So at any given time, you can pull the trigger and do something pretty aggressive. If you're only using to remove AFCON players, I mean, it may work in the short term. I just like the feeling of having 5 that you can use one week, you're back to 5 the next week. And you keep rolling those 5 in case you want to be really aggressive further down the line.
Could be a scenario, as you said, like later on in the season. I mean, I don't know what game week it would happen, but I'll use it as an example that you could get to a point where you go, okay, Arsenal versus Wolves coming up. I want to go super aggressive. I want to get Saka, Trossard, Eze in, and the only way that I can make that happen is with 5 free transfers, and you've got them in your back pocket because you've strategically used what you've gained from the AFCON window.
Also, I like the idea of having some transfers there for when those players return, and wanted to get your Mbeumo's and your Sars, possibly your Salahs back into your team.
Yeah, also a very good point as well. You're taking him out, you've got to be able to bring him back in somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Paolo, your squad, you are free hitting this week. Martinez in goal. O'Reilly, Cash, and Munoz completes your defence. Salah, Cherky, Rogers. Oh, you used the right Rogers picture for your own team.
I've done mine last. I must have completely missed it when I've done Scott's.
Minte, Sharda, Thiago, and Haaland up top with Kelleher, Virgil, Gu, and Esteve.
You got Virgil on the bench.
Yeah, again, the defence part of it was a bit of a conundrum. I decided, I think early doors, that I wanted to go 5 in midfield just because I liked the amount of value that was in that 6 to 7 million mark, Mm-hmm. So that's why I've gone for lots of mid-priced midfielders. And again,
You're really attacking those fixtures, aren't you?
Yeah. It could be boom or bust type scenario because obviously if they don't come as planned, then obviously it's going to be a really poor week because I've gone gung ho with them. But again, looking at form would suggest that it's the right tactic, I guess. Again, I've gone for Haaland and Salah as a double up. Again, I know we spoke about the fixture swings and the stats don't suggest that we're seeing the Liverpool that we're used to. But again, this West Ham, that the second half, specifically at the weekend, Jesus, they were conceding chances left, right, and centre.
Over 4xG they conceded in that game.
So I'm hoping, and Salah's the type of guy that comes clutch, scores a goal from a 0.2 xG or something on a half volley out of nowhere or something like that. So I guess I'm just praying that he's the most likely person to make something happen if Liverpool are gonna happen. And then the defence, I've got obviously Virgil in there. I picked him anyway from my standard team. The only thing is I just have a good feeling about Munoz against Man United. I think that's the only, I guess, caveat. And obviously he's also in my standard team, so I haven't taken them 2 out. But yeah, that's the only one really. Do I swap Virgil in? But again, I'm not too sure whether I see them keeping a clean sheet, if I'm being honest.
My only question would be that obviously Virgil is, quote, premium defender this year, so it's quite a big expense to have on your bench against a West Ham side that we know are a little bit goal shy from that respect. If the plan is not to play Virgil and to have him on your bench, particularly in a free hit week, swap him out with someone like a bench rider, 4 mil bench rider, could you then put that 2 million elsewhere into your midfield or into your strike force?
Exactly what I was going to say. Drop him down to a 4 mil and upgrade Cherky to Foden.
Yeah, that's obviously that's one move I was thinking could happen. Yeah, that's probably a good shout, to be honest.
The only other move that I would say would make sense if you weren't going to do that is Virgil for Minte. I just think the Forest Brighton game, of all of the fixtures that you've targeted, the Forest Brighton game is probably the most 50-50.
Again, I'm just going on 1 Brighton's form and 2 Minte's form individually.
Which I get, but I'm just because
it's all over the place. So I just think it's a good, like I say, it's a fixture that is going to be back and forth. And
I mean that's exactly it. That's exactly it. But I just think that
opportunities
if you were going to go like aggressively one way or the other, you would argue that Liverpool beating West Ham is more likely than Brighton or Minte doing anything against Forest. So if you're not going to use Virgil, downgrade him. If you are going to keep him in your team, then maybe Virgil for Minte would be the swap that I make.
This is why it's a first draft. That's why you guys. Yeah, you're probably right. It's definitely something that I did think of. I just wasn't sure whether how confident I am with Kevin Munoz in there against Man United, which again, to be honest, I'm probably more confident with him than I am having Virgil against West Ham, which is slightly ironic, to be honest.
And do you still have your triple captain?
I have triple captain and bench boost, yeah.
Were you tempted to play it this week? Because I know it's very. If you use the free hit lot, I mean, everybody else is going triple captain Haaland this week. It's going to be the captain debate is like is a non-starter this week. Everyone's going to be captain Haaland.
Yeah,
and a vast majority are going to be triple captain in as well.
Yeah, I was tempted, and my team is pretty good anyway. Again, perfectly happy for it for when it comes back in 14. The only obviously unsure nature is Semenyo still. I still have him. So he would be the only one that I would be, I guess, unsure of going into this game week and potentially game week 14. So he would be the only one really that I would look at to potentially swap out. So there is a world where I could just stick with my team, but again, I don't know whether there's another week where I'd want a free hit to probably get the Liverpool assets in, because that's kind of the main reason to do it, is to get. In an ideal world, you want to say Liverpool assets, but in this sense, I'm only confident in picking one.
Yeah. No, I like it.
And you didn't go Gibbs White or your.
Yeah, he's got the rest of the week.
Yeah, I've got the rest of the week. Obviously, this is my first draft. Gibbs White is definitely someone I'm looking at, but again, I was thinking probably more long term for us. I want to make sure that form is not gonna. It's not just a momentary uptick with Dyche coming in. I want to make sure it's going to continue before I maybe invest in their assets. I think that's probably why he's not been included in this first draft. Triple captain, I think the next big opportunity is probably Haaland against West Ham in 17 is what I'm currently looking at.
Yeah, fair enough. And then onto my team, which I have to say I've taken a couple of minuses over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, but I feel like it's in a much stronger position now. There's far fewer kind of left field picks, and it's starting to pay dividends because I've had a couple of green ticks in the last few weeks. So Vicario. Vicario, Senesi, Ballard, Saliba makes up my defence. I've got Cunha, Bruno G, Eze, and Grealish across the middle. Haaland, Welbeck, and Mateta up top. I've stuck with Cunha in the starting 11. Although Scott, I know you said that concussion protocol means that he's probably not going to train for probably most of this week either.
Well, just keep your eye on him because as far as I understand, the protocol means you can't train for 10 days. So if this happened on Friday, you talk in 2 weeks. So he might even miss 14 as well.
14 as well.
So quick,
yeah, it's interesting. It's a good point to make. The bench of Dubravka, Van der Ven, Lacroix, and Enzo. Ironically, a week that I probably would have bench boosted if I still had that chip available, because I genuinely couldn't pick the 11 out of those 15, and I'm actually still very much debating whether or not Ballard and Lacroix could swap places. In fact, that might even probably still be a switch that I make. I've kept Cunha in the starting 11 with the idea that Van der Ven could potentially make a double Spurs defense against a bit of a shot shy Fulham. So I'm with the idea in mind that could be double clean sheet. But I don't want to get stung again from a perspective of like, if I put Cunha down on the bench and then he does end up playing, then I'll be kicking myself. So
well, you'll know. I think the protocols are very clear. So just try and gather as much information as you can about it, because it'll be pretty much clear cut that he can play or
it
can't
should
play.
be obvious in the Friday presser, right? Whether or not he's going to play.
It'd be very obvious. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, fine. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of my thinking. Like, keep Cunha in the starting 11 for now. Van der Ven will come off the bench for a potential double clean sheet against Fulham. Still, as I said, debating whether or not it's Ballard or Lacroix. If I stick with Ballard, then obviously I'm going to be hoping for a 0-0 Bournemouth Sunderland, because I got Senesi in there as well.
Cool. Yeah.
That's
You're
where
right.
I'm at.
Your team looks a lot more balanced. I think the position I'd be looking at would be probably like Grealish position.
Yeah. I was thinking that, but then I didn't want to take another minus this week, and I felt like the De Kuyper to Saliba was a much stronger switch. There was nobody that I really wanted to switch Grealish out for that made a lot of sense right now.
It's funny because Everton, as we said, looked very good last night. And Grealish looked very good, but not in an FPL attacking sense. Just very good at holding the ball, very good at drawing fouls like he does.
Yeah,
very good at bringing other players into the game. But from an FPL perspective, he doesn't offer a great deal in front of goal.
Yeah, interesting. It would be nice for him to add some more like goals and assists to his game in general, I guess.
It's just, I mean, Everton, I got enjoying my team. I feel exactly the same about him. He's such a great player to watch. One of my favourites, actually, in the Premier League to watch it from a footballing perspective. So skillful and nimble and quick-footed, but offers so little in apart from penalties and the odd sort of cross that he puts in. Just frustrating to watch from an FPL ownership perspective.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, Grealish is probably going to be the next one that leaves the team or sits on the bench, because I can swap Enzo in and out. I could even bring Lacroix in for Grealish and then just have that back four of Senesi, Ballard, Saliba, and Lacroix. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at. Any thoughts, Paul?
Yeah. Well, just very quickly on your bench order. You got stung by having Bruno G as your second bench rider this week.
Yeah.
So looking at the play, if you're going to leave Cunha where he is, which probably makes sense, I would just shift the Qua to number 1 and have Van der Ven as number 3.
Even with the idea that the clean sheet prospects for Spurs versus Fulham is a lot higher than what. To be honest, it was poor management on my side of things to have Van der Ven as the first sub against Arsenal in the first place. I don't know why I did that. Maybe it was even one of those situations where I changed it and then didn't save it or whatever. But
I think Spurs are poor at the back. To double up on against anybody, I think is a risk.
Okay, all right. I'll bear that in mind. Paolo, any points of difference from yourself?
No, I tend to agree. I definitely would have Enzo further up, because again, if Chelsea are going to get returns, and he's
on penalties.
He might be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's worth contemplating.
Right.
It might be worth doing a Chelsea and Arsenal attacker.
As a like a both teams to score kind of fixture.
Maybe instead of Grealish, like we say, because again, he's not putting any numbers up FPL wise to be, I guess, afraid of that he's going to return.
I see what you're saying. Better to take the risk with a known goal threat than leave one in that we know is probably not going to do anything.
Well, he's a penalty taker. It only takes that one moment. It could be a handball in the box, and Enzo's your penalty man. So it could be anything in the game.
Fair. All right. Yeah, that switch probably makes sense then in that regard. And what thoughts just on the fixture in general? Bournemouth versus Sunderland. I've got obviously defenders from either side in that squad. Hoping, as I said, either for DEFCON 0-0. Ballard has been a bit of a goal threat for Sunderland. So,
well, they both are. Senesi is a goal threat too. They're both DEFCON animals. I think you're right to play them both. I can see them both picking up DEFCONs, and one of them maybe gets a clean sheet. So yeah, play them both.
Play them both. Okay, cool.
Yeah, right. I think it makes sense.
Awesome. All right. Cheers, boys. Thank you very much. As always, pleasure talking to you. That was game week 13 and 14-ish. I think we will try to get maybe another episode out in time for game week 14 deadline if we can make that happen. But if not, then the stats and the data that we've given you should see you through for the next couple of weeks at the very least. Boys, as always, a pleasure. Good luck for game weeks 13 and 14.
And you?
Good luck, Palace against Strasbourg on Thursday. Another European away day.
I think Strasbourg probably one of the strongest teams in this tournament, so it'll be a good barometer of where they are in this tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, Mateta can put his countrymen to the sword.
I'm hoping he rests them.
Also, not a bad shout either. Yeah, if you got this far, then please do drop a like, hit subscribe, share the video around. Look out for shorts over this week as well. We'll be issuing a few just to kind of keep people in the loop about picks and everything else going into the next 2 game weeks. Again, the channel doesn't grow without you, so please do like, subscribe, share, tell your mates, stick it on in the background, and just while you're working and have other people listen to it as well. Every little bit helps in that respect. And until next time, we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you.